Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at the ANFET Media Network.
That's right. Specifically, how they view the current situation in Eritrea.
Exactly. And our sources here are pretty much straight from ANFET itself. We've got stuff from their About Us page, a list of article titles, which is quite revealing.
And some summary notes, too, yeah.
Right. So the mission really is to get a handle on ANFET's perspective. How do they see Eritrean society, the politics, especially freedoms and governance?
Okay, so maybe the best place to start is their vision, what ANFET actually stands for.
Good idea.
The name itself, ANFET, it's an acronym. It means advancing the nation's freedoms, specifically of civil liberties. Eritrea will be transformed into modernity.
Ah, okay. So it's right there in the name. Advancing freedoms for transformation.
Pretty much sums up their core goal, doesn't it?
It does. But freedoms can mean a lot of things. Are they specific about which ones?
They are, actually, which is interesting. They really zero in on four: freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of movement, and freedom of assembly.
Press, religion, movement, assembly. Okay.
And by highlighting these four, ANFET seems to be saying these are the absolute priorities, the keys, if you will, for Eritrea's development.
So if you're listening and want to know what ANFET thinks is crucial, it's those four. That progress there is, for them, essential for Eritrea to become what they call a modern and inclusive society.
Precisely. And, the fact that they exist as a media network focused on these specific freedoms, well, it strongly suggests they believe these freedoms are currently lacking or perhaps under pressure in Eritrea.
Yeah, it gives a reason for their existence, right? A mission to fill a perceived gap.
Right. Which kind of leads us naturally into how they actually describe the situation now.
Okay. Our notes say their view is that Eritrea is, and I'm quoting here, currently struggling with fundamental limitations on civil liberties.
Struggling? Yeah.
And facing significant challenges to achieving modernity and inclusive governance. That's quite a direct assessment.
It is. It's not pulling any punches, and some of their article titles really echo this. Like, they published one called Eritrea's Sovereign Struggle for Civil Liberties and Democratic Governance.
Struggle. That word again, it makes it sound active, ongoing.
Exactly. Not just an absence, but an active, struggle. It implies there's pushback, maybe.
Yeah.
Forces working against these liberties. Makes you wonder what those dynamics are.
Right. It's not just a void, it's contested ground.
And another really central point they make, connects to the legal framework, or lack thereof, in their view.
How so?
They argue that the Eritrean government has basically evaded its constitutional responsibility, specifically refusing to implement the 1997 Constitution.
For how long?
For 3 decades, according to ANFET.
30 years.
Wow. And the consequence, they say, is that Eritreans have been denied the actual legal basis for their rights, for the rule of law.
So, without the Constitution in effect, there's no guaranteed legal foundation for those freedoms they prioritize.
That seems to be their core argument. It's not just about practice. It's about the lack of that fundamental legal guarantee outlined in the Constitution. They see it as a major obstacle.
That adds a whole other dimension to it. It's structural.
And this ties into a distinction they draw, which I found quite interesting, between independence and liberation.
Okay. How do they differentiate?
They say, look, Eritrea achieved independence, statehood, that happened. But true liberation, in their eyes, means achieving genuine civil liberty.
So independence is the political act, but liberation is about the lived experience of freedom for the people.
That's the idea. They even have an article titled The Difference Between Independence and Liberation, Safeguarding Eritrea's Sovereignty. So they're really drilling down on this point.
It implies the journey isn't over just because independence was won. There's another phase needed.
Precisely. That realization of genuine civil liberty is still outstanding from their perspective.
Now, it also looks like they don't just focus on the government. Our notes mention ANFET talking about stagnation and fragmentation within the political landscape.
Yes, they do. They've published articles looking at, for instance, the role of media and the stagnation of political organizations in Eritrea.
So they're looking at opposition groups, other actors too?
It seems so, and also suggesting things like reevaluating past Eritrean conferences to try and find ways for better collaboration among different groups.
Okay, so it's a critique of the broader political environment, not just a single entity. They see issues with maybe a lack of unity or progress across the board.
That seems to be the case. They even look at the media's own role in potentially contributing to this stagnation.
And it seems they're actively engaging with claims from different sides. They reported on a government of Eritrea response to the opposition report, for example.
Right. And they also analyzed an event where someone from an Eritrean embassy invited people, concluding it raised more questions than answers.
So they're not just broadcasting their own view, they're analyzing responses, questioning events,
Hmm.
acting like, well, a critical media network.
Exactly. It shows they're trying to engage with the discourse as it happens, scrutinizing different players, not just issuing blanket statements.
And when you look at the topics they cover under their areas of focus, it's huge.
It really is. Politics, economy, sure, but also education, healthcare, science, arts, music, women's affairs.
Military affairs, history, news, geography, technology, youth initiatives, entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
even climate and diaspora engagement. It's vast.
And the implication there, I think, is that they see a need for attention, for improvement, really, across all these different aspects of Eritrean life. The sheer breadth suggests the scope of the transformation they envision.
Okay, so that gives us a pretty clear picture of ANFET's perspective on the problems and the areas needing change. How do they actually try to do anything about it? What are their strategies?
Well, a big part seems to be audience engagement. They're not just talking at people.
Right. Their mission statement mentioned providing a platform, fostering collaboration.
Exactly. So they use interactive features. They have discussion forums, for instance, moderated ones.
To get people talking.
Yeah. And live events too, webinars, panels with experts, Q&A sessions. They also use audience polls sometimes to gauge different viewpoints.
So trying to create a real dialogue space.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And they actively invite people to contribute, not just comments, but articles, creative projects. They want participation.
They're building a community, essentially.
Yeah, that looks like the goal. It's not just information out. It's about fostering an environment where people can discuss and share.
And they use different ways to get the message across. I saw mentions of podcasts, storytelling.
Yes, podcasts, storytelling, visuals, infographics, even documentaries. They're using a whole toolkit of communication methods.
Trying to reach different people in different ways, make complex stuff more accessible, maybe?
I think so. Make it more engaging. And they also emphasize, apparently, using respectful language, which points back to that goal of constructive dialogue.
Okay, so if we wrap this up, this deep dive into ANFET Media Network shows us an organization with a very specific viewpoint.
Definitely. A view that Eritrea, despite its independence, is currently held back by a lack of key civil liberties.
The freedoms of press, religion, movement, and assembly being central.
Right. And they see this lack of freedom linked to the non-implementation of the Constitution as hindering progress towards being a truly modern and inclusive nation, what they call liberation.
And they're not just pointing fingers. They see issues like stagnation across the political landscape.
And they're actively trying to foster change, not just by reporting, but by building a platform for dialogue, using diverse media, encouraging engagement, really trying to spark discussion and collaboration around these issues.
It's a clear stance and a clear strategy, which leaves us, and you the listener, with something to consider.
A final thought.
Yeah. Given ANFET's intense focus on those four specific freedoms: press, religion, movement, assembly, what might be the single biggest obstacle to actually achieving those in Eritrea today, and perhaps more importantly, what role can media, like ANFET itself, realistically play in trying to overcome such an obstacle?
That's a good question to ponder. What is the key logjam, and can media help break it? Lots to think about there.